Welcome to this session on Fundamentals of Ratio. In this session, I will be discussing questions from the practice exercise of the book. I will be covering all practice exercises. My suggestion is that you do the exercise yourself, and once you complete an exercise, come to the video and watch these relevant questions. I have not covered all the questions of the exercises, but I have taken a few selected questions which I think are important. They are important because either they tell you how to work with the choices, or they are important because they help you clear the concept, or because they give you a calculation shortcut or any new way of solving a question. So the questions which I feel are important are the ones which are being discussed here. Hopefully they will be able to help you in improving your speed as well as accuracy in the paper. Let's move to practice exercise 1. Question number 6. What must be added to each term of the fraction 4 by 9 so that it becomes 2 by 3? It's a fairly simple question and I'm sure all of you know how to solve it. Most of us would solve it by saying let the number which is added be equal to x. So the fraction 4 by 9 will become 4 plus x upon 9 plus x. You will say is equal to 2 by 3 and you will find the value of x accordingly. However, this question can be easily done with the help of choices. There is nothing wrong with this method as such. It's perfectly fine. The only thing is it is possibly a little time consuming. Given the fact the choices give you the value of x, it might be better for you to work directly with the choices. For example, if I add 1 to both the numerator and denominator, the fraction will become 5 by 10. Hence, choice A is incorrect because I am looking for 2 by 3. Second choice B, if you add 6 to the numerator and denominator, it will become 10 by 15. It will become 2 by 3. Hence, 6 is the correct answer, choice B. As you would have noticed that the good thing about working with the choices is that you can do the question orally. It is extremely important that you be able to do a few questions without writing down anything because it will help you increase the speed, and speed increase obviously means you will be able to attempt a larger number of questions in the paper. Just to repeat, this is not a difficult equation, but this cannot be done orally. This has to be written down by you and then solved. While if you are working with the choices as I just showed you, it can be done orally. Even if you look at the other choices, for example, if you add 11 to the numerator denominator, 11 plus 4 makes it 15 by 20, which is 3 by 4. Okay. So it is something which can be done orally. My suggestion is wherever it is possible, use the choices along with the questions. If you work with the choices, you will be able to work faster and be able to come to the answer in a shorter span of time. Let's move to the next question. Question number 8. If x and y is shared in the ratio of 2:7, what is the ratio between x's and y's and to the difference between y's and x's shares? Okay. Again, the standard way is to say if x is to y is 2:7, assume the value of x to be 2a, let me say 2a, and the value of y to be 7a. So the difference between y and x will be 5a. So this becomes 2:7 is to 5. But actually you did not need this item called a. You could have straight away said x is to y minus x. If x is to y is 2:7, that means the difference will be 5 unit 7 minus 2. So it is nothing but 5. So 2:7 is to 5, or the ratio in this particular case would have been 2:5, choice C. My request to you is do not unnecessarily add a variable to their story. For example, mentioning an a out here is an unnecessary item. When you can get the answer directly faster, do not introduce new variables. Question 9. What must be subtracted from the ratio, from each term of the ratio 68 by 49 so that it becomes 3:4? This question is absolutely similar to question 6 which we just attempted a little while ago. The conventional way again would be to do 68 minus x upon 49 minus x equal to 3 by 4. But as I said earlier, this will mean you have to do the complete calculation and hence will be time consuming. You will be better off using the choices rather than solving this equation. Now let's look at this ratio. 68 by 49, it has to be converted to 3 by 4. 3 by 4 is less than 1 while 68 by 49 is greater than 1. All I will say this implies my answer should be greater than 68. Let's just discuss why. First of all, this term x cannot be negative. If x is negative, this will mean you will end up creating a fraction which is still bigger than 1. Let's take an example. Let's take x to be minus 10. If x is minus 10, 68 by 49 will become 78 by 59, which is still greater than 1. Because you are adding a constant term to both the numerator and denominator of the fraction, it will always remain greater than 1. So my answer cannot be a negative number. Second, my answer cannot be between 0 and let's say 68, because then again I will be ending up with a fraction which is greater than 1 or which is a negative number. So my answer can only be greater than 68, hence choice A, B and C are incorrect. Out of the remaining two choices, check one of them. Let's check for choice let's say E. So if we subtract 105 from the numerator and denominator, 68 minus 105 upon 49 minus 105. My request to you is, do not write this. Why I'm writing it down so that you can understand this, but from your point of view you should not be writing. You should be doing 68 minus 105 is 32 plus 5 37 upon 51 and 5 56. This is not equal to 3 by 4, hence choice E is incorrect. Because 4 choices have been eliminated, the 5th choice should be the answer. But if you want to check out, let's check that out also. 68 minus 125 and 49 minus 125. I am again repeating, you should not be writing down. What you should be writing down is what I am going to write down directly. This is what you should be writing down. So 68 minus 125 will be 32 plus 25, which is 57. And 49 minus 125 will be 51 plus 25, which is 76. Now this is what you should have written only. All this was not required. You should just be doing the calculation only and writing out this much. So 57 by 76 is nothing but both of them are multiples of 19, which is equal to 3 by 4. Okay. So please get into the habit of working with the choice. It will always help you come to the answer faster. Let's move to the next question. Question 10th. Rupees 3960 is divided among A, B and C such that half of A's part, 1/3 of B's part and 1/6 of C's part are equal. Then what is B's part? Let me assume the amount which is received by A, B and C are ABC. Now the question tells us half of A's part is equal to 1/3 of B's part is equal to 1/6 of C's part. Okay. Now most of us will say this is equal to K and then say A is equal to 2K, B is equal to 3K and C is equal to 6K. Absolutely right. And then solve it further. Okay. Perfectly fine. But again, as I always maintained, do you really need this particular variable or constant called K? You could have straight away said, let these ratios be that the ratio of A's to B's to C, ratio of the amount received by A's to B's to C has to be equal to 2:3:6. And the first thing is, ratio of B hence should be a multiple of 3. Any choice which is not a multiple of 3 should be incorrect. 1080 has a dead sum of 9, so multiple of 3. 960 again is a multiple of 3. 1720, 72910 digit sum of 10 or 1. So this is not a multiple of 3, hence choice C is incorrect. Choice D again is incorrect because its digit sum does not add up to a 3 or a multiple of 3. And E is 1440 multiple of 3. So my starting point always is that I'll read the question, I'll go with the choices and try to eliminate. So that's my first thing. That A, B and C are in the ratio of 2:3:6. So value of B or the quantity of which B has received should be a multiple of 3. Since choice C and D are not multiples of 3, they have to be incorrect. Now let's get back to the question. If since the ratio is 2:3:6, that means B will receive 3 by 11. 2 plus 3 plus 6 is 11. 3 by 11 of the total. So 3 by 11 into 3960 should be my answer. Don't jump to complete calculations. If you look at the choices, they are not close to each other. 3 by 11 is greater than 25%. It's greater than 1/4 or 25%. So I can safely say this implies my answer should be greater than 1/4 of 3960. Just to ease my calculation, I'll say, let's say it is greater than 1/4 of 4,000. So my answer should be slightly greater than 1,000. Among the choices B and E are eliminated, choice A becomes the answer. Please make it a habit that you read the choices along with the question and do an approximate calculation. I am sure this 3 by 11 into 3960 everyone can do, that's not an issue. But my point is, can you save 30 seconds or 40 seconds or even a minute in calculations? If you can, you will be at an advantage over others, which is why I get into the habit of approximation. And hence I took 3 by 11. I know it is greater than 25%, so let me use that. Because 1 by 11, okay, you can, if you remember your reciprocals, 1 by 11 is 9.09%, so 3 by 11 should be 27.27%. So my answer should be greater than 1,000. This should be good enough to get you the answer. Don't go for exact calculation till the question forces you to do so. Let's look at the next question, question 11. In question 10 above, what is the ratio of A share to the difference between B and C? We found A is to B is to C was 2 is to 3 is to 6. So what is the ratio of A share to that of the difference between B and C? C minus B will be 2 is to 3, which is because if A has 2, C has 6 and B has 3. So it is 2 is to 3. Choice D is the correct answer. Question 12. Two numbers are in the ratio of 5 is to 3. 9 is subtracted from both of them, they become in the ratio of 23 is to 12. What is the first number? Again, let's go to the conventional method. The conventional method for this question again is, let the numbers be 5x and 3x. So 5x and 3x, and you subtract 9 from both of them, and this ratio becomes 23 by 12. Perfectly fine, nothing wrong with it, except that it is time consuming. The moment you say let the numbers be 5x and 3x, you mean the first number should be a multiple of 5. If the first number has to be a multiple of 5, then choice A, D, B and E, which are not multiples of 5, are incorrect. Hence the correct answer has to be choice C, 55. You really did not need to do anything else in this particular question. If you want to be very sure, you can still check out 55 minus 9. Obviously, one of the numbers is 55, the other number should be 33. The other number should be 33. So if you subtract 9 from each one of them, 55 minus 9 will become 46. And 33 minus 9 becomes 24. So 46 by 24 is nothing but 23 by 12. So please go to the understanding of the question. Don't jump into calculation straight away. The question says the numbers are in the ratio of 5 is to 3. That means the first number should be a multiple of 5 and the second number should be a multiple of 3. Let's move to the next question. If A upon 3 equal to B upon 4 equal to C upon 7, then what is the value of A plus B plus C upon C? Now, this question typically people would solve by saying A upon 3 equal to B upon 4 equal to C upon 7 equal to K, which implies A is equal to 3K, B is equal to 4K and C is equal to 7K. And then you will substitute these values of A, B, C in the expression. Why do you need to again introduce this item called K? You could just straight away assume if A is equal to 3, B equal to 4 and C is equal to 7, which is, what are these? These are the numbers which are given in the denominator. If A is equal to 3, B equal to 4, C equal to 7, then will not A upon 3 be equal to B upon 4 equal to C upon 7? Or in other words, in such a question, I will straight away assume that A, B, C are nothing but these numbers given in the denominator and solve it directly. So, rather than going through an extra step of saying 3K, 4K, 7K, then trying to cancel out K, just take A to be 3, B to be 4, and C to be 7. Or in other words, I am assuming K to be 1. And there is nothing in the question which says K cannot be 1. So, if I take A, B, C and to be 3, 4 and 7, then A plus B plus C upon C will become A is equal to 7, B is 4, 11, 11, 3, 14, so 14 upon 7, which is equal to 2. So for such questions, the rule, the correct answer is choice B. For such questions, the rule is very simple. Let A, B and C be equal to 3, 4, 7, substitute, get the answer. Question number 19. To question 19, the number 68 is divided into two parts such that 1/7 of the first part is equal to the 1/10 of the second part. Find the first part. Effectively, if the two parts are A and B, the question is saying A by 7 is equal to B by 10. A is the first part, B is the second part. Now this implies that A has to be lesser than B, or A has to be the smaller part and B is the bigger part. Those of you are not very clear about it, most of you would write A by 7 equal to B by 10 equal to K. That means A has to be 7 times K and B has to be 10 times K. Or A has to be the smaller part while B will be the bigger of the two. The moment you say that A has to be the smaller of the two, that means my answer should be, or let, okay. Now the moment you say that A has to be smaller than B, or A is the smaller of the two parts, that means A should be less than 68 by 2, which is equal to 34, because if A is the smaller part, it should be lesser than half, and if B is the bigger part, it should be greater than half of the sum, because the sum is given to us as 68. In other words, choice 40 cannot be the answer. What should be the answer? You should check the choices now. For example, if we say the smaller part is 7, then the bigger part is going to be 68 minus 7, which makes it 61. 61 is by 10 is 6.1, 7 by 7 is 1. This does not tally, hence choice A is incorrect. You could check all the choices. But there's another thing which you should remember in all the questions. What is a common mistake which can happen in this question? The common mistake is the question says find the value of A. The common mistake is some of you will find the value of B. So what should the person who is setting up the question do? He should put a value for B also. So your starting point should be to find out which two choices add up to 68. Most probably one of them has to be the answer. So out here, choice C and E add up to 68. None of the other choices add up to 68. So the first choice you should be checking is 28 and not anything else. Is it possible that this is not the answer? Yes, it is possible, but it is unlikely. Because the way people create questions, they try to think of the place where you will make a mistake and try to put that choice also. And this is a very obvious choice, which is, and this is a very obvious method of trying to make sure you get a negative mark. Okay. So if you check, the first choice you should be checking out for is 28. So if the first part is 28, the other part should be 40. And which means 1/10 of 4 is 1/10 of 40 is 4, while 1/7 of 28 is 4. Another thing you could have looked at is my answer, since we are talking about 68 being divided into two parts, the smaller part A divided by 7 equal to B by 10, so A should be a multiple of 7. And on that basis, again, this is incorrect, this is incorrect, this is incorrect, only A and C are possible. So there are two things which you need to remember for such question. If it says A by 7, answer or A should be multiple of 7, 7 into something, 7 into K or whatever. Second thing, look out for those two choices which add up to give you the sum out here, because the obvious error, as I said here, is instead of A you will find B. So be careful about such things, work with the choices and get to the answer faster. Question 20. Rupees 9,700 has been divided among X, Y and Z such that if their shares are reduced by rupees 30, 20 and 50, the balance are in the ratio of 3:4:5. Great, let's write down what are we supposed to do. The first equation that we have with you is X plus Y plus Z is equal to 9,700. Second thing which we have said, if these values X, Y and Z are reduced by 30, 20 and 50 respectively, so X minus 20, X minus 30 is to Y minus 20 is to Z minus 50 will be equal to 3:4:5. These are two effective equations which are given to you. So combining these two equations, you will then say that x minus 30 plus y minus 20 plus z minus 50 will be equal to 9700 minus 50 minus 30 minus 20, which is 100, so which is nothing but 9600. Now we know that y minus 20 is 4 out of 12 units. So if I take this ratio of x minus 30 is to y minus 20 is to z minus 50, I can say y minus 20 will be equal to 4 by 12 of this particular item, 9600. Okay, and then you will be able to get your answer. Okay, so there is the standard way of checking the answer. However, you could have looked at the choices again. My starting point again could be that y minus 20 has to be a multiple of 4. So y minus 20 should be a multiple of 4. So what should I do? What are the choices? Choices are the values of y. Okay. So subtract 20 from each of the choices. If the answer is not a multiple of 4, it is incorrect. So 3180 minus 20 is 3160, which is a multiple of 4, so hold on with it. Similarly, choice 2 you should hold on to. Choice 3, which is 3253.33 minus 20, this will not be a multiple of 4, hence it has to be incorrect. Choice 4, choice D, which is 3200, if you subtract 20 from here, you will be left with 3180. So choice D is also a multiple of 4. Similarly, choice E is also a multiple of 4. So while in this question we will not be helped significantly and we will need to go back and solve it this way, it is important when you look at the question, the first thing which you should have done was checked out choice minus 4, whichever is not a multiple of 4 should be eliminated. Only if you are stuck with more than one choice do you go and solve it. Please remember, in this question it does not help, but there will be many other questions where it will be useful. So the method which is important for you is that in this particular question, y minus 20 has to be a multiple of 4 should be your starting point in solving this question. Let's move to the next question. Question 24. The ages of a man and his son bear the ratio of 7:2. After 15 years, their ages would be in the ratio of 2:1. What was father's age when the son was born? Again, our standard way of solving this question would be, let the age of the father be 7x and the son be 2x. After 15 years, plus 15 for both of them. This is the father, obviously, and this is the son. Okay. The ratio would be equal to 2:1. So you'll solve this equation and get the answer. But let me introduce a slightly different concept. If the age of the father is 7x and age of the son is equal to 2x at present, the difference between their ages is 5x, or I can say with the 5x, which is the difference in age of father and son, this should also be equal to age of the father when the son was born. After all, when the son was born, his age was 0, so the difference between the age of the father and son is nothing but the age at which the son was born. So when was the when was the son born? When the age of father was 5x, which means my answer should be a multiple of 5. D is ruled out. E is in any case ruled out because it can be calculated. Or in other words, the age of father could be 25 or 30 or 35. Now you can check the choices. If the age of father was 25, that means x will be equal to 5. If the age of father was 25 when the son was born, that means father's current age should be 35 and son's current age should be 10. Add 15 to each equal to 2:1. Correct answer is choice A. Supposing you had checked not the first choice but the second choice, let's say 30. So we know that father and son, their ages are 7x and 2x. If the age of father when the son is born is 30, this would imply x has to be 6. 7 6 are 42 upon 12. 42 plus 15 and 12 plus 15 does not give you 2:1. Hence this choice is incorrect. Okay. Now whether you go by this method or this method, I'm not worried, but all I'm saying is I hope you will remember that if the difference between the age of father and son is 5x, that means 5x was the age of the father when the son was born, or in other words, the age of the father was a multiple of 5 when the son was born. Okay. So this is what I want you to remember as far as this question is concerned. Let's move to the next one. Question 27. The numerator and denominator of a rational number differ by 40 and its simplest form is 2 by 7. What is the number? The simplest form is 2 by 7. Okay. And the difference between the numerator and the denominator, the difference between these two is 40. Okay. Let's look at this question in a couple of different ways. First, the denominator should be a multiple of 7. Any choice in which the denominator is not a multiple of 7 cannot be the correct answer. So choice A, denominator is 48, not a multiple of 7. B is incorrect again, C is incorrect because none of them are multiples of 7. So your answer can be D because 56 is a multiple of 7, or E, 63 is a multiple of 7. What is the difference between numerator and denominator? The question says the difference between numerator and denominator is 40. In choice D, 56 minus 60, difference is 40. So we will hold on with this choice. 63 minus 80, 63 minus 18, the difference is not 40, so it is incorrect. So I actually don't need to do anything except check the basics. Okay. Now let's look at the standard way of solving the question, which I hope you are aware of. It says in the simplest form it is 2 by 7. In the simplest form, the difference between the numerator and denominator is 5. But the desired difference is 5 into 8. The desired difference is equal to 5 into 8, which is equal to 40. So multiply both the numerator and denominator by 8. So it will become 2 into 8 is 16, 8 into 7 is 56. Okay. Not a difficult method at all. There's not an issue at all. You can do the question this way also. I just wanted to again highlight the fact that even if you don't know how to solve the question, if you just go through the condition and verify the condition, you'll get the answer. One condition in the question was the numerator and denominator difference should be 40. Second condition which I derived from the question was that denominator should be a multiple of 7. I did not worry about the numerator because on all the choices the numerator is an even number, and all I can say if the numerator is to denominator is 2 is to 7, that the numerator should be an even number. So it was not of much use for me in this particular question. Let's move to the next question. In a mixture of 100 liters, the ratio of milk to water is 3:1. If 200 liters of water is added to the mixture, what is the new ratio of milk and water? This is a simple question. 100 liters of mixture. So the amount of milk and water is in the ratio of 3:1. So milk will be 75 liters out of the 100 liters and water will be 25 liters. 200 liters of water is added, so you add another 200 liters of water. It becomes 75 liters milk and 225 liters water, or the ratio becomes 1:3. Easy question, not an issue at all, but I want you to understand a particular concept, so I will take an example from here. Okay. Now if you go back to your basics of percentages, we can say percentage of milk into volume of mixture is equal to quantity of milk. Instead of percentage of milk, you could even say the fraction of milk. For example, in this question, if I have to look at fraction of milk, I will say 3 by 4. If I have to look at percentage of milk, I'll say 25%. Okay. I hope there is not an issue. Percentage or fraction of milk multiplied by volume of the mixture should give you the quantity of the milk. Okay. Now, if the volume of mixture becomes double, the percentage of fraction of milk should become half, because the quantity of milk remains constant in this particular question because you are adding water. So, if volume of mixture doubles, by addition of water. Please, I think this is the important part which you need to remember, by addition of water. Volume of mixture doubles by addition of water, the quantity of milk will remain the same. So if the quantity of milk will remain the same, whatever has been done to the volume of the mixture, the reciprocal of that will happen to the percentage of mixture or fraction of mixture. So in this particular question, what is happening is the volume of the mixture is going from 100 liters to 300 liters by addition of 300 liters of, by addition of 200 liters of water. So the volume has become 3 times. If the volume has become 3 times, the fraction of milk should become 1/3. The original fraction of milk was 3/4, so the new fraction of milk has become 3/4 into 1/3, which means it has become 1/4. So 1/4 is milk, obviously 3/4 should be water, or the ratio becomes 1/4 is to 3/4 or 1 is to 3, okay, which is the new ratio of milk is to water. Also notice this particular choice. Why is this choice there? So that if you calculate water is to milk, you will mark this. So such questions, always be careful. If the question is water is to milk, most probably there will be choice called water is to milk also available. So both choices, water is to milk and milk is to water, both will typically be available in the question. But I hope this concept is clear to you, that quantity of milk in this particular case is remaining constant. If the quantity of milk is constant, then whatever happens to the volume of mixture, the reciprocal will happen to the fraction of milk. So if the volume of mixture was becoming 4/5 times, 5/4 times, the percentage of milk would have become 4/5 times. Okay? So this part you need to remember. The last question of the first exercise. In 80 liters mixture of milk and water in the ratio of 5:3. Okay. So you have 80 liters mixture of milk and water in the ratio of 5:3. 16 liters of this mixture is replaced by 16 liters of milk. Then the ratio of milk and water in the resulting mixture becomes, okay. In this question we are adding milk. If we are adding milk, that means the quantity of milk will change, but the quantity of water will remain constant. So in such question, as is the case in this question or the previous question, you work on the basis of the item whose quantity does not change. So quantity of water in this question is constant. Why is it constant? Because it is milk which is being added. So we'll work on the basis of quantity of water. Now what are you doing in this question is, you have 80 liters of milk is to water. What is the original mixture? Mixture of milk and water in the ratio of 5:3. 80 liters of 5:3 milk is to water. Then you are removing 16 liters of this mixture, which again is a 5:3 mixture, and hence you are left with 64 liters of 5:3 milk to water mixture. To this 64 liters of 5:3 milk and water mixture, you are adding 16 liters of, as per the question, milk. So 0:1. So 16 liters, this is pure milk. Okay. So effectively, one of the things which you need to remember in this question is, you are not mixing 80 liters of mixture with 16 liters of milk. You are mixing 64 liters of mixture with 16 liters of milk. Okay. Or in other words, you are adding 1/4 or the volume of mixture from 64 liters is becoming 80 liters, or the volume of the mixture is becoming 5/4 times. If the volume of mixture is becoming 5/4 times, what will happen to fraction of water? Why water? Because we are not changing the quantity of water. Fraction of water originally was 3/8. If the volume has become 5/4 times, the fraction of milk becomes fraction of water becomes 4/5 times. So this becomes 3/10. So since the new fraction of water in the mixture is 3/10, I can say milk to water should be, water is 3/10, so milk should be 7/10. Or this implies milk to water is 7:3. Okay. Again, I have used that simple concept. If the volume has become 5/4 times, the fraction of the item which is not changing in this particular case is water. Why is milk changing? Because you are adding a quantity of milk into the mixture. If the volume of mixture becomes 5/4 times, the fraction of water in this case will become 4/5 times of the original. Originally water was 3 by 8 of the mixture. Since the volume became 5 by 4 times, the mixture, the fraction of water has to become 3 by 8 into 4 by 5, which is 3 by 10 times. This is a simple way of doing this question. You could have actually applied alligation also to this question. Let me just clean up the slide and then let's see how to apply alligation. Now let's see how we could have applied alligation or weighted average as a concept for this question. You are mixing 64 liters of milk is to water mixture which has got milk and water ratio 5:3. Or I can say 5 by 8 is milk and 3 by 8 is water originally in the mixture. You are mixing this with 16 liters of pure milk, which means 1:0 or 100% milk. Okay. So let's try to apply alligation. In alligation, what you will say, if you are alligating with respect to, let's say, milk, you are mixing 5 by 8, a mixture which has 5 by 8 milk with another mixture which has got 100% of one milk, such that the average is equal to x. And this is 1 minus x, and this will be x minus 5 by 8, because x is the average, so it should be more than 5 by 8 and less than 1. Okay. And then what are these 1 minus x and x minus 5 by 8? These are nothing but ratio of quantities. What are the ratio of quantities? 64 as well as this one is 16 liters. So this will imply 1 minus x upon x minus 5 by 8 is equal to 64 by 16. Okay. This would mean solving this equation. Now, which means you need to remember that if you have to find one of these three things, you should not use alligation. No alligation should be applied if one of these has to be determined. But you should be applying weighted average. Weighted average is the right approach if one of these has to be found. Use alligation only if the ratio of quantities has to be determined. In this question, the ratio of quantity is given. So alligation was a wrong approach. While this will give you the answer, this will make your question lengthier. So just to repeat, you have P1, you have P2, you have an average, and this gives you ratio of quantities. To determine ratio of quantities, apply alligation. To determine one of these three variables, you should apply weighted average. Please remember this part. Let's come back and let's solve this question using weighted average. In terms of weighted average, what would you do? Let's look at fraction of milk. The fraction of milk in the 64 liter mixture is 64 liters into 5 by 8 plus 16 liters into 1, which is because 100% milk. This will mean the quantity of milk will become so we'll have 56 liters of milk. What was the total quantity? The total quantity is 64 plus 16, which is 80. So milk is 56 liters. Water has to be 24 liters. So what will be the ratio of milk and water? Ratio of milk and water will be equal to 56:24, which is 7:3. Okay. As you would notice, probably the fastest method is actually taking the ratio which we started with originally, that the volume of the mixture has become 5 by 4 times. So fraction of milk in the fraction of water in the mixture should become 4 by 5 times. With this, I have completed what I think are the important questions of exercise 1. I have tried to, as I said earlier, use the choices. I have tried to give you simple concepts with the help of which you can solve the question. My approach always is, if there is a question with choices, you have to use choices because that will help you work faster. And those 30 seconds, 1 minute, or couple of minutes that you save on every question will help you do a couple of extra questions in the paper, which will get you closer to an interview call. With this, let me close the session for practice exercise 1. We will now move to practice exercise 2.